clap. Wow.
Welcome to a new episode of Jyoty'S tips and tricks. If you're new here and you've got no idea what's going on, go to my IGTV, that's JYOTY, or to my YouTube channel, that's Jyoty'S Sing, and look back at the previous episodes. But basically, it's all in the name. So every now and then, I drop a video with literally tips, tricks, insights, intel, information of what I've experienced and other people have experienced coming up in the industry as a DJ or radio host or a presenter, just a few of the bits that I do. But what I want to make very clear is this is not a handbook, a guidebook, a rule book. This is not all factual, not one size fits all. It's just from my experiences. Today's topic is one that's very personal. It's something that I'm actually learning myself. It's something that I kind of knew, but in a recent conversation with my friend Shenesi, if I had to give it a title or a theme, I would say it's about not internalizing numbers. That's how he put it, and that really made it clear to me. And like I said, it's something that I'm trying to discover and kind of practice myself. But what I'm trying to say is, and I'm going to tell you from my personal experience and my personal story, my personal narrative, for it to make sense to you. Now, because I do a few different things, it means that in the industry, a lot of people know me and like me for the different things I have to offer. So some people, for example, know me from radio, which means that they've been maybe rocking with me for the last 4.5 years. Other people discovered me in the club and they like seeing that side of me. And then there's other people that know me from my 9-to-5s that I've had. So the girl who puts on events, who produces shoots, podcasts, campaigns, documentaries, is good at booking talent, is good at talent liaison, is good behind the scenes. And during lockdown, I've picked up a few new things. Like for example, I started a weekly webinar called You Can Sit With Us, which is really talking to people who dedicate their lives to politics, policy, education, healthcare, and we really get an in-depth view on what their jobs are like, and we try to put a spotlight on these people because I consider them to be real heroes. And what I discovered when doing You Can Sit With Us is I started it off as like a live Zoom session that people can join in on, and then it gets uploaded afterwards and aired on radio. I noticed that the Zoom sessions weren't as busy as I thought they would be, and I really internalized those numbers, meaning that I'm so used to seeing high and growing numbers when it comes to radio, and the same with DJing, that I thought that that would automatically reflect with anything else that I was doing. And when those numbers didn't match up, I almost punished myself or thought what I was doing wasn't good enough, or even almost got upset with my existing audience that they didn't catch on to the non-music related stuff I was doing. And with my phone call with Shenesi, I really realized that I shouldn't be trying to convert my existing audience into something that's so different to what they know me from and want to see me doing. Instead, I should focus my energy on still putting out the content that I am, but trying to put it in front of an audience that's looking for that type of content. I know that there's people out there who don't really care about what I do in the music industry, but they do care about the content I put out with You Can Sit With Us, which is very like informational and educational. What I need to focus my energy on is where does that audience live? What platforms do they use? What kind of broadcasting networks do they listen to? And how can I get my foot in the door there and then reach them without having to kind of force my existing audience to do something that maybe they don't want to do. And especially stop punishing myself. This doesn't mean that I should stop making these webinars, because one, they make me very, very, very happy. So already it's of personal added value. You know that this is a topic that comes back in every session. What is the added value? For me, the added value is that I feel like I have a responsibility within my own community, my micro ecosystem, to kind of open doors and make information accessible. And so if I feel that I'm reaching just a handful of people who can thank me afterwards and say, you know what, I'm so glad you put this educator or this activist or this doctor in front of me and I've really learned something. What I now need to do is really think about the strategy behind it and also set targets that make sense. Having a target of like 200 people on live Zoom call without really knowing what it is that I'm trying to put in front of them and what the end goal is, and also what kind of KPIs, look it up, I'm trying to reach, it doesn't really make sense. What does make sense is, okay, I don't know how many people I can reach with it, but I do know what I want people to walk away with. That is a really sensible and also just a realistic target. Also, in order for me to reach out to the right platforms and the right audiences, I need to be able to sell this story, right? So that I can do by saying, I want people who have listened to this session to walk away feeling this way and having learned this. It doesn't make sense for me to go to a big platform and say, I want this many people on every session. That's not really of value to anybody because they can bring those numbers to me. But what they want to know is, what am I bringing to the table for them? And I really want to kind of give this message to anyone with anything you're doing. You know, for some people, I get a lot of questions like, how do you grow on social media? If those numbers are of importance to you, I'm not really the right person to help you with that because my growth has been really slow, but very organic. I couldn't really tell you what I've done other than being relatable on social media that has helped me, but I haven't really done anything targeted or anything that's very social media following focused in my actions and in my content. What I've always focused on is my radio content, and I can tell you how I've grown my radio audience, right? So whatever it is that you're trying to get bigger, grow on, focus on those numbers in a way that is realistic. Don't say tomorrow I want 10,000 followers if right now you have 50 or 100. And the focus should be not because I want 200 or 250, but because I have this and that other people might not do. And maybe when you watch or listen to my stuff, you leave gaining this or focusing or feeling on this. And I guess the same would go for people who are just putting out mixes. I get a lot of questions of, oh, how do I get more people to listen to my mixes? Right, I've said this before, your friends are who you should start out with, but they don't owe you anything. So again, if you're putting out mixes, some of your best friends might not like the same music that you do. So don't rely on them to rack up those numbers on the content you're putting out. Try to find who your audience is and getting it in front of them. And no progress is too small. That's really important, and I'm really trying to remind myself of this every day. If I had 10 people who had watched back a session of You Can Sit With Us, and then the next week is 15 or 20, that is progress. Over time, little wins like that will result in a big win. But you have to stop punishing yourself and setting goals that also are sometimes out of your control. You don't know what people want and when they want it and how they want it, but these are things you can study. As you start experimenting with everything you're doing, whether that's DJing, radio, presenting, maybe on-camera hosting, you will slowly learn what people are into and what they're not into, and then decide whether you want to continue doing things on your terms or if you want to start meeting halfway. One important thing I've learned during lockdown is that I want to keep doing everything I have been doing. And the most important thing that came out of my conversation with Chency is I will continue to do all these things, catering them to all different audiences that make up my following, my supporter base, but they all overlap or kind of live next to each other, but they will not dictate what content I make. And I think that's the most important thing to take away from this session is know your audience, but don't let them dictate what you're doing. Cater to the different type of audiences that you have and make sure that everything you put out is purposeful. And you can, when people ask you, why do you do this? There's no right or wrong answer, but you need an answer. I think that's the most important thing. I was thinking about, letting go of some of the stuff I was doing. And the reason why I'm so confident in not letting go of any of the 100 million things that I'm doing is because I can give you a reason of why I do them and why I think it has added value either for me personally, but also for someone who might be consuming it. And I think that is the most important thing. If you believe in it, continue. Find your tribe. Try to grow the existing loyal and genuine following and set realistic targets. God, that was good. That was good, no? Do it because you want to do it, but also you can't get mad if you don't get the results at the time frame you had set for yourself. If you want to be strict and say, look, if I don't hit this target by then, I'm going to stop doing it. If you're okay with that and you're okay with moving on to something else, that's absolutely fine. If it breaks your heart, then don't stop, but really take a step back. And sometimes it's good to also go missing for a minute. And I think, this is something I haven't done with radio because I'm too scared. But, at some point, I think there will be a time where I say, hey, I'm going to stop doing radio for a bit because I've done it for X amount of years without a break, and I need to take a step back to see if people miss me. If so, what exactly is it that they missed? And then I know that's what I added to the world of radio. I think as I'm saying this, that like makes it really clear for me as well. It's just sometimes take a step back and see what it is that you've done, and also how you can better yourself. Can I breathe some new life into what I've been doing? How can I make it more exciting? Also, how can I make it more fun for myself? I can literally say that when it comes to radio, I've fallen into a little bit of an automatic pilot routine. So what I tried to do over lockdown is something that sounds so basic but had a really big impact on me, is just switching up the type of shows I was doing. Something so minor, but it feels like a little bit of a revival for myself and also for people who tune in every week. It's just a little, okay, something different. Next week we'll go back to normal and it'll feel exciting again. So all these little things, I hope they give you words of encouragement that, you know, everyone's going through the same motions, but at a different time and at a different kind of scale. But everyone goes through it. Everyone has these moments where you have to really think about, why am I doing it and what is it good for? And who am I doing it for? These are all questions you should continuously ask as you're embarking on new adventures.
Woo. Yes.
See you next time with a new episode of Jyoty'S Tips and Tricks. Yeah, yeah. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah, one of that. Okay. Latest. Okay, stop now. Stop. Yeah, bye.